Hello everyone, welcome to another K Johnson G business video series. We are today with Kenneth Wood of a project. As you can see from the background, we always like to have the background reminding both our guest and myself who we actually are. Kenneth, thank you for joining us for this chat.
No problem.
Could you give us a brief run through of the history of the business and move on to your involvement in it?
Certainly can. So thanks very much.
No problem.
In terms of AA Projects, who we are celebrating our 20th year this year as a property management consultancy business. It was started by a chap called Paul Allen, who's local to us here in Sale in Manchester, on the back of actually the Learning and Skills Council, which was the college building programme that happened a good 20 years ago.
That was the start.
Yeah, so it's niche business as was, but since then we've diversified into a number of different services in property. 130 staff now and growing. In terms of my involvement and how I got involved in the firm, I came in to lead a management buyout, which we did a year ago and successfully did. And the kind of whole ethos really is to where we stand at the moment is we're trying to be a business that's large enough to kind of do anything and cope in our sector, but small enough that our staff and clients matter to us.
Yeah, exactly. And for those that don't know the sector that you operate in, for the uninitiated, what can you give us an example of what a project will do? You know, what would Joe Public see it as, if you like?
Okay, Joe Public wouldn't see it as any one thing. We are a property consultancy that works throughout the whole cycle of a building or an asset, and that can go from building surveying up front through to managing the construction process, so as quantity surveyors and project managers, through to assisting through the operational life, from life cycle costing, energy management, energy audits, health and safety reviews, so that whole life cycle up to the point of trying to decide what to do with it and looking at estate planning, estate rationalisation and those kind of things.
So it's there's a real breadth of services then that the business provides.
Cradle to grave in terms of property.
Yeah. So as regards your own involvement that you mentioned, you touched on earlier as regards coming into the business, what was your background personally in the same sector? If you've been in this sector presumably for quite a time.
I am a chartered surveyor, along with many in the firm. So I've been in the sector since pre-university. Since doing a degree in surveying. My involvement was to come in and lead a team through a management buyout process, which, as I say, we completed a year ago. And that was all about the kind of succession of the business. Paul wanted to keep the brand going, keep the name going. There has been a pattern of firms like ours selling to larger practices. So we've kept the brand going, kept the name going, and completed that MBO successfully, and here we are today.
And was that buyout process one that you can see has had an effect on the people in the business in any way, or did it just carry on regardless, almost irrespective of a buyout taking place? Because it's a big change in many respects, isn't it?
It certainly is. I think it's changed the 10 people around the table that did the management buyout. I think a few of the guys hadn't been business owners in the past, so certainly they saw something different, and they've acted differently. I suppose acted differently. We all have. It is a big change for us personally. That's then reflected through the business, and that passes on through the business as well in terms of how we respond and how people respond to that. At the end of the day, it's our firm now, so we live and breathe it.
And it's relative to most. It is. You mentioned 10 people round the table. It is a reasonably big management ownership team. It's relatively unusual, is my point.
It is, and indeed, I think you told me that
a
little while ago in getting together the 10 individuals to do it.
Yeah.
It is, and I think that's very important. I think we're a people-driven business, and having that spread across a number of people is absolutely key. And certainly, that's the kind of direction of travel that I'd be wanting to push within the business over time.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah, it is.
Very good. So looking at the opportunities that a project has that you can see for the business in the reasonably foreseeable future, what would you say those are?
Opportunities for us. I think there's been a movement in our industry to the larger corporate firms. So certainly a firm like ours, as a medium-sized enterprise, there is an opportunity for clients wanting that personal service, where they get directors and senior people working on projects and commissions. That is an opportunity, a real opportunity for us. Where people look for flexibility, so they don't want the same size model for everything. We can adapt, we adapt, we change. That's a key opportunity for us. Third one probably is being a regional business is a big opportunity for us. We are based out of Manchester, that's the head office, but we work across the UK, but we are not a London-based business coming out into the regions. We are a regional business going into London, so the other way around.
Yeah.
That's a big opportunity for us. There's many pieces there that links to price being one of them. Lifestyle in terms of where people want to live. We're not basing all our offices out of city centres. We kind of spread as to where we need to be. So they're probably the large elements for us.
And if you had to pick one particular opportunity for the business that you see as a real drive, if you like, of growth or development or whatever term we should use, which would it be?
Do you know, I wouldn't use growth with us. That isn't a key driver.
Good point.
That isn't a key driver for us at all.
Yeah.
Our driver is more the quality, flexibility, repeat business, client, but the one I would say is people.
Yeah.
So we put an awful lot of effort into our people. At the end of the day, we're a consultancy, people's our business. So the culture, the way of working, that probably within our DNA is what makes us different in the industry.
Excellent. So on the more negative side of things, every business faces issues, things that causes problems that we wish weren't the case. What are the major areas where you think AA projects faces some issues and hurdles?
Number one will definitely be forecasting. I think to have a crystal ball at the minute and look forward 5-10 years would be absolutely fabulous. Because we're consultancy, because we're transactional, we don't have the ability to write in 20 years worth of work. So where the market goes, we have to follow. So the ability to forecast would be fabulous. Be a very rich man if I could.
Yeah.
The second hurdle for us is we're in a market that's very price driven, and that is one element that does affect us. We aren't a price driven business. We're a quality driven business with senior people leading the business, delivering projects and services to clients. The more that it's price driven and not quality driven, that does affect us as a business, which is why we are restrained in terms of growth. You can't have a quality driven offer and be 20,000 people in this industry, in my view.
Yeah, and the growth, is it the case that in your sector, a large level of growth almost by definition results in lower margins and lower profitability, because it's the only way of really ridiculously, if you like, stepping things up?
I'd argue that. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be others who differ with that view, but in my view, you've got to have a client who is willing and understands the benefit of a quality driven service, and that spending a little more on a consultant to help you through the process can save you a lot more problems down the line, and that's what we sell into. And we have high repeat business. We have some great clients who enjoy working with us. So clearly it's a model that works, but it couldn't work for a massive entity, in my view.
Yeah, and your benefit that you've mentioned earlier is the fact that you're big enough to deliver but small enough to care.
Absolutely.
Sort of combination.
Yeah, phone call at 11 o'clock at night, I pick the phone up.
Yeah,
Any of the directors pick the phone up. We're there.
Yeah.
We will work to that.
Yeah. I'll test that later. As you've mentioned, Kenneth, there's great difficulty in forecasting in any business, and especially one like yours. But to the extent it's visible, where do you see the business in a 3 or a 5 or 7? You choose the timescale type time period.
Okay, I won't choose a timescale.
Yeah.
So at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I think that they're not necessarily tangible things. Actually, I see as having a stronger brand identity. It's probably number one. And that the name is known. It's not just known in the kind of areas that we tend to work, but people know of the business, and that brand is associated with a quality service in terms of the service we deliver and a great place to work. That's where I would want us to be seen, and I probably would like those to be our key drivers more than anything. I'd like to see the business sticking in the market of delivering a quality service and not being price driven. So I would never see us being a large business. I wouldn't see growth being on the agenda. We have to grow to a point. We need to fill the gaps that we've got, but that isn't top of the agenda.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So if you had a magic wand, you could change one or more, but certainly at least one thing that causes issues for the business, or more generally that would allow the business to develop as you plan it to more easily, what would that be?
So we shouldn't do politics, should we?
We should definitely do politics.
Okay. I think I'll show my colours and would change the Brexit vote.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the one single issue that I would change.
Yeah.
I think to give a bit more detail, just the whole point I made about forecasting becomes a real problem around that. It's been very difficult for the last 2 or 3 years to see where that's going to go, and certainly when you look externally then at our clients not knowing where the market's going to go, that they can't plan effectively, means that it's difficult for a firm like ours to plan, and it's more difficult for a firm like ours to help our clients as well. So that is the single thing, one single thing I would change.
And as we sit here today, there's still huge uncertainty as regards what will happen in any respect as regards Brexit or a version of it. The difficulty we seem to have had is we've had years, 3 years or however long it is, since the referendum, where in reality nothing's really got clearer. And do you think that that's actually made it worse? Because is it lack of knowledge of the way we're going, even more than actually going what you might think is the wrong way?
I think I actually think the uncertainty point is probably the major issue. Everyone wants certainty, even if certainty could be not the best outcome. But certainty means that people can't commit in any shape or form. So having that uncertainty still hanging over us where we sit today is probably the single major factor that is halting businesses making decisions.
So outside of the work environment, you'll have a number of things that keep you busy and keep you entertained. Are you willing to share any of them with us?
No.
It's for public consumption.
Poor end to the interview.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I do enjoy music. That's probably my one passion outside of work.
Excellent.
My father was a trombone player, was a musician. So I'd kind of I'd listen to music regularly and enjoy playing a number of instruments myself. Still do when I get time. Quite happy to listen to anything by the Smiths at any point, any day of the week. You've
not gone down the route then of, as some people seem to have done, of deciding that Morrissey's political views mean you need to stop listening to the Smiths.
I just like a good sing along, so that's fine. Yeah, I'll
roll with it.
Roll with it. Absolutely roll with it.
So what are the instruments then? I mean, what sort of instruments do you play?
Started trombone.
Yeah.
My father helped teach me that a little when I was younger. So
Yeah.
I started trombone, moved off onto bass guitar, then playing jazz, swing band music. Then grew my hair long and decided to get into more guitar music.
Yeah.
And as I've grown older, I've got more into classical guitar, so I play a lot of classical at the moment.
Fantastic.
So
very good.
yeah, and can do a few other brass instruments as well, but they're jumped on and off those over the years.
Far too talented as far as I'm concerned.
You haven't heard me play yet.
Thanks very much, Kenneth. Really
Cheers.
appreciate that. Cheers.
Thank you.